Should we start with megastar? Should we start with megastar Karl Urban? Front cover! Not just one, but two.
There you go.
Wow.
It must be true. It's in total film.
It must be. So when you open a magazine like this, which has just hit the stands in the UK today, and you see something that says megastar, that's kind of cool, is it not?
A little bit of an ego boost, but you know, just keep it real.
Look, this DREDD is huge. I mean, if we start from the beginning of the DREDD journey, it was an amazing role for you to get. Like, this is a big starring lead role for you. But now that it's hit Comic-Con, and now it's, you know, it's still a month and a bit away from release for us, but are you getting a sense of how huge this is for you?
No, I mean, it's early days yet. I'm just looking at a 6-week international publicity tour, and it's daunting. I mean, I'm just going to every territory on the planet, and quite rightfully so. There's no point making a film if no one knows about it.
No, that's exactly right. Well, people already know about it. I mean, these are the two of the most influential film magazines in the world, with the biggest circulations, and your very imposing chin is on the front cover of both of them.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
I think you're right. I think it is a good sign.
Something's going right in Urban's career right about now.
Tick.
Yeah,
we
tick.
love it. Look, you've been a fan of DREDD from, you know, from way back, haven't you? When you found out you got the role, that must have been a pretty good feeling.
It was a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good day. I got a call from the DNA boys and Alex Garland from London, and inviting me to play, and I was elated. Yeah.
You look, obviously the '95 version. You can't make this film without that kind of comparison. But were you aware of how they were, what direction they were going to take DREDD, and well before you signed up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was very clear for me just reading the script that tonally it was going to be completely different. It was a lot more realistic, a lot more gritty. And also I think there was a lot more attention to detail in terms of keeping the character more true to its origins.
Do you believe that it was an absolute imperative that that helmet stayed on your head?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to me it was a non-starter. I had a meeting with the writer, Alex Garland, and the director, and they said, look, we're not going to get halfway through shooting this and you're going to start demanding scenes without the helmet. And I said, I wouldn't be bothered to take this meeting if I'd have read the script and the helmet was off. Yeah. And I think that reassured them.
Why is it so important, though? I mean, explain to me who
well,
hasn't been a DREDD fan.
You know, DREDD's identity is really solely wrapped up in the fact that he's a personification of the law, and the fact that you never see his face lends to this enigma, this mysterious, you know, faceless lawman, and you know, he's always been written that way, and I felt that it was a really important aspect to be faithful to.
If you Google Karl Urban trivia, you have been known all about having a very intense stare. So you see.
It's very intense.
You take that out of the equation from an acting perspective, and when all you've got is, you know, quite seriously, your chin and your mouth and your body to convey a character as intense and DREDD, that must have been pretty challenging.
Oh, it was a huge challenge. It was, you know, I had to pretty quickly identify, you know, how to convey thoughts and emotions, and you know, it was a scary proposition. But the interesting part about it was that I pretty quickly discovered that if you just think the thought and feel the emotion, that it's amazing what actually transmits through that helmet and is perceptible by the audience. Yeah. And it was also really important when to know not to react. You know, DREDD is quite a formidable, stoic beast.
Yes, he certainly is. Let's talk about the other characters involved in this. I mean, you've got Olivia Thirlby, who is your offsider, and she's a rookie, and she's got to do some pretty full-on kick-ass stuff in her first day on the job. How important was that relationship with DREDD as a character in this particular one?
My relationship with Olivia and DREDD with his rookie Anderson, it was integral. You know, it's really through her character that you discover a lot about DREDD. And we had a great working partnership. I mean, every day we would meet up before we would start the day's work and discuss what it was that we were going to do. And we were just a really great team. And she's just a phenomenal actress, and she does an amazing job in this film. I mean, her journey from being a rookie to a kick-ass judge is is riveting.
You've also got some really nasty pieces of work in this film. Mama is, I mean, Lena Headey, a legend from Game of Thrones and many others, and it was really important that she was really nasty. Did you get a sense as you started shooting that she was going to nail that perfectly fine?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, her performance is extraordinary. She's so offbeat. I just remember this one day on set where, you know, we're shooting a sequence at the end of the film, and she's standing opposite me, and she can't see my eyes, and I'm looking at her from, you know, behind the helmet, and she just starts maniacally laughing, and I just could feel the anger building within. So, I mean, she really knew how to push my buttons, and she does a phenomenal job. I mean, she's just so. I just haven't quite seen a. You know, a character like this in cinema, and certainly to talk about a strong role for a woman. You know, and there are a couple. There's not only Olivia, but you know, Lena as well.
Yeah, and also your boss, which I think was which was great, which I really enjoyed. Now, when it comes to making these kinds of, we'll call it a blockbuster, but this didn't have a big blockbuster budget, did it?
No, it certainly didn't. You know, this is you know, this is a film that, you know, is not is quite a contained piece, and I think it benefits from that. It's more of it's a character-driven film as opposed to a special effects-driven film. Although we have, you know, some amazing, you know, glittery bits in the film.
Glittery, that's a good
glittery,
way of describing
colourful moments. But you know, really, it's a character-driven film, and I think that's the strength of it.
These glittery moments that you reference, they're not really for the whole family, are they, Karl?
No, I would describe this as a family film, just for family members over the age of 16. That's how I'm going to sell
18 or 20. I was watching the film like, can I look now? Can I look now? I mean, were you aware, were you briefed beforehand that this was really going to be an R-rated DREDD?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I read the script.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I wasn't quite prepared for, I guess, the recoil effect of watching that violence. And I think that, you know, the director and writer have done a really amazing job of turning it into a character, and it's not, you know, we can get so desensitized to it, but in this film they managed to do what Stanley Kubrick did so well in films like A Clockwork Orange. You really just, you know, put a little bit of a magnifying glass on the reality of what's going on, and it certainly does make you recoil, you know.
The visual aspect, I'll call it sort of a hyper-real, or a hyper, not just the violence, but the way that the film and the violence was communicated for me, off the back of the fact that this is really looking at a drug dealer, essentially, who controls a criminal drug dealer, and this drug is called slow-mo. And I think what's in some films is used excessively as a visual tool for no reason, within DREDD, Pete and Alex and yourself have communicated the drug use of slow-mo, which what it does, it slows everything down, and you think you're running at 1% of time. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah.
And the way that the visual aspect of that was communicated was very, very, very effective.
Yeah, well, you know, we were blessed. We had Anthony Dodd Mantle, who was our DP, and he's an Oscar-winning DP from Slumdog Millionaire, and, you know, basically Danny Boyle's stalwart DP.
Right.
And he was a real creative powerhouse in this film, you know, and I think that's, you know, one of the reasons why this film is going to be an instant cult classic, is that it really lends itself to repeat viewing.
Pete, and Alex Garland obviously has a pretty phenomenal name already, from The Beach and all sorts of things, and he's moved into film. Was it quite a collaborative filmmaking experience for you guys?
Yeah, very much so. I think it was probably one of the most rewarding collaborative experiences that I've ever had. You know, the good writers and directors are open to other people's suggestions. If they can see that it's going to, you know, enhance what's already there, then they'll embrace it. And it was certainly the case with Alex. In fact, I had a pre-shoot script meeting with Alex, and I opened my page, and then he saw all these lines through my dialogue, and he sort of looked across and he said, "What's going on there?" And I'm like, "Look, I love this dialogue, mate, but DREDD says less." And he
so you were crossing lines out?
Yeah, I was taking them away, and then he looked at me and he smiled. And he goes, "You know what? I had a meeting with John Wagner, the creator of DREDD, and I showed him the script, and one of his few notes was, 'DREDD says less.'" So I mean, right there we were on the same page.
And he reminded me too, for that reason. I mean, you've referenced, I know Sergio Leone. We have a mutual love of his films, and his characters. You don't actually have to say a lot. And even Ryan Gosling's Driver and Drive, you don't have to, do you? But then it can be pretty challenging as an actor to convey all of those things without dialogue.
Yeah, it is, and then that is certainly the challenge. And you know, there are certain distinctive points in this film where you can see, you know, a gear shift within DREDD, and that's why it was really important to me to concentrate on the physicality of how I did what I did in this film, because it takes on a hyper importance.
It helps when you have big guns to communicate your feelings too.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I guess so.
Yeah, and a gun that you can tell what to do. How cool is that?
I have great conversations with that weapon.
Quite short conversations, but great conversations. Yeah. Let's talk about Comic-Con. Did you do Comic-Con with rings? Had you had the experience of Hall H before?
No. I have had the experience of Hall H with a couple of other projects, but not with
Trek, of course. Did you do something?
No, we didn't do it with Trek. We did it with DREDD. And Priest,
Nice. So were you prepared for, I mean, the reception from the fans? Because is that the first time you saw the film as well?
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, I'd seen the film in various different cuts through the process.
Sure.
But that was the first time I wanted to see the film with an audience, and that was just the perfect audience to see it with. I mean, they were really engaged in the film, and they were laughing and cheering, and that's the payoff for me.
Yeah. And that, well, you didn't let them down, I think. I mean, as soon as stuff started coming out of Comic-Con, you got a sense that, first of all, it was going to be quite bloody.
Yeah.
And that second of all, that you were kind of making up, you guys were making up for the film that had let them down previously, perhaps.
Well, I mean, that aside, I just think that at the end of the day, that people have gone into DREDD and they've been entertained. They've been drawn in by the characters, their relationship, and the humour of the piece. You know, the witty one-liners, and you know, DREDD's got a wonderful dry sense of humour and a wonderful way of understating, and I think everything that just kind of, you know, makes you laugh. So you know, I think there's a lot of key reasons why people are embracing it, and I'm just looking forward to this film getting out there and you know, and everybody getting a chance to have a piece.
Brutal. How was it for you? It's a really physical role, and as the lead character, it's not like you weren't in every single frame, because you were in you know, you were in most of it. How did you find that on your body?
Yeah, it was. It was the most physically demanding film that I've ever shot. I mean, even before we started shooting, it was like 13 weeks of just hell. You know, working out in a gym, doing military training, and then the actual experience of wearing the uniform itself.
Is it actually leather? It looked leather.
Yeah, it is.
Right,
it's
so
a leather. Essentially, it's a leather motorbike suit with body armour, and I was wearing that in the height of a South African summer.
Awesome, not sweaty at all.
Moist.
Yeah, right, nice, moist. Nice. Thanks for that word.
Yeah.
And how was the shoot in South Africa? Have you ever shot there before?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
no, it was really great.
They've got new studios there, haven't they?
Yeah, they did. We shot at these brand new studios in Cape Town, and they were a wonderful facility. And the really great thing was that I got to work with some really wonderful people. And they're really warm-hearted. There's a real pride about their culture. And I found that rugby was, you know, a great kind of a bonding agent, you know. Quite often would go to, you know, bars with the crew, and we'd watch the All Blacks play the box, and it just provided endless comedy and ribbing. And I'm actually really looking forward to going back to South Africa to do the cast and crew, not only to show them the film that they should be proud of, but also to collect on a chunk of bets, and just to have a little gloat, a little song and a dance about the world famous champions in the world, New Zealand All Blacks.
It's amazing what we can do when we haven't been food poisoned, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Okay.
But to be fair, I was actually kind of glad that they won that, coming out of the era of apartheid and stuff. It was good.
Yeah. Don't punch me for asking this. You get a much bigger trailer when you're the lead, so you rock up to this. So you go, wow, look at that mega cool trailer, and there's like hot chicks hanging on outside.
I don't know what movie sets you've been on, but you know, on this, because we're shooting these brand new studios, I didn't have a trailer. I had actually a room right next to the studio. So
right, that sounds flash.
Even cooler.
Yeah, your own masseuse and stuff, you know.
It didn't go that far, no. Okay. But there were certainly times where